I think that working with WIAIH participants provided justice to them because they deserve the happiness that the show gives them. Every person can feel happy for different reasons, but for the participants, it seems like they all felt happy just by spending time with all our volunteers and participating in the show. Nowadays, you can volunteer for pretty much anything. This doesn't mean that you are better than the person you're helping, because everyone needs help at some point or another. I think volunteering eliminates discriminations because when, for example, you're volunteering with intellectual handicaps, they see you as one of their friends. Volunteering brings communities and people together, which will hopefully eliminate any sort of discrimination. After producing the show, I definitely felt rewarded. I think when you volunteer, of course your number one priority is to help others, but most of the time, when you're finished, you realize that the great deed you did really changed, helped, or benefited someone's life. So because you really made such a positive impact on someone else's life, and you realize how happy that person now is, you feel rewarded. After seeing some of the smiles on everyone's faces after, during, and at the end of the show, I couldn't express my joy because I saw that my actions really made a difference in so many people's lives. I think volunteering at WIAIH really changed my perspective on a lot of things. I would definitely say that this experience has matured me into a better person. Before WIAIH, I wasn't as strong as I am now. Some people are able to interact with autistics and intellectually handicaps very easily, but before WIAIH, I don't think I was as comfortable. Also, every time I see pictures of WIAIH or my friends from different schools volunteering at the Friendship Circle, it brings me joy. I now would react completely different in a scenario than I would a few years ago, or even right before WIAIH. I am now much more comfortable to talk or be around autistics or intellectual handicaps. I for sure think that I will volunteer either somewhere else or even at WIAIH again. I would love to visit all the friends I made at WIAIH. I think volunteering brings out the best in a lot of people, so whether it's going back to WIAIH, volunteering at a hospital, working at a soup kitchen, or really anything else, I would take the opportunity in a second. Even if I got a little stressed during the process, I never thought I should have chosen a different placement. Some of the biggest difficulties I faced was deciding the order of the show because we had to make sure everyone had enough time in between acts. Also, dealing with the volunteers and baking cupcakes for 12 hours for the bake sale. Some highlights we're going around Dollard trying to find raffle prizes and ads. I really enjoyed this because we got to explain our outreach program and placement to so many different stores, restaurants, or salons, and some of them had never heard of WIAIH before, so we taught them something new. And of course, I loved the show. The whole production was a success, and I could have not asked for it to run any more smoothly than it did. I knew from the beginning choosing to be a WIAIH producer would be a lot more work, time, and effort. But in January, this didn't affect my decision, just like it wouldn't if I had this chance again. I think taking on this responsibility has taught me how to be more independent and take things into my own hands. I've learned if you want to get something done, you need to take control of things and do it yourself. I also learned how to multitask and handle a lot of big, important things at once. This is exactly what we had to do to produce this show, and I'm sure I'll use these lessons in the future. I think that in society, there are the good and the bad people. Fortunately, such a large percentage of Canadians volunteer this many hours, but that doesn't make up for all the tragedies in the world. As much as volunteering is a great, kind act, we don't know for what reason these people are volunteering and if they are forced to volunteer. But at the same time, I think this shows that in human nature, there are more people who do good deeds than one would think. Also, for many people, it's in their nature to help others in need or others who are less fortunate. Even though volunteering is very personal and internal, I think the supervisors still had a right to evaluate us on some things because they're able to see how much effort you put into your placement and how you worked with others. Although in our case, I don't think Pam realized how much time we spent organizing and making decisions for the show outside of school, I think we should have a self-evaluation as well. Also, some people may be a little more shy, but it doesn't mean they didn't put the most effort that they could. Of course, I am sad that outreach is over, but I am also relieved. The fact that the show ended in May really gave us producers a break and time to focus more on school. Of course, the show really was everything I had hoped for, and I'm so glad I was able to be a part of it. This was an amazing experience, and for it to turn out so well was very satisfying. I really miss working with the clients from WIAIH the most. I still get to see my co-producers, so I don't miss working with them as much as I miss seeing and working with the participants. I think we had enough time to plan out the show, even if time flew by really quickly. If we had another month to work on the show, I don't think the show would have turned out any better than it did. If I had the chance to work with WIAIH again and be a producer, I would love to. It was an experience like no other, and to be a part of it would be really, really awesome. I'm sure it's very clear how stressed all the producers were as we came closer to the show. Some of the ways I stayed productive were by just thinking of how well the show would turn out. I thought about all the participants, volunteers, parents, and even us producers. Since I knew the show would be a success, it helped me push through the tough times. Also, I tried to make sure that all the producers were fully on task and putting the same amount of effort into working on the show. I tried to handle one thing at a time and not get myself overstressed by thinking about all the things we had to finish before the show. Coming to final decisions was sometimes a little tricky. Most of the time, we were 2 against 3. So to finalize our decision, we took into account Pam's opinion and Diva's opinion. We also then looked at all our different options and tried to understand why we had different opinions. Personally, I also tried to prove my point and give good reasons for why I thought my choice was correct. In the end, we were most of the time all on the same page. And even if we weren't, we just remembered that the show was not about us, and we were trying to benefit all the WIAIH participants and what would be best for them. Working with my friends was very fun and enjoyable during the show, but sometimes when we were trying to make decisions, this complicated things because if we had a different opinion than our friend, it might have caused a problem. But in the end, I'm glad I got to work with such amazing girls, and I'm so happy I got to share this experience with them.